Hello, everybody. I'm Willem.
I'm Tim.
And this is Hear Me Out Pitch. Don't do that!
I had to.
Oh, man. It's been a day. Hello, everyone. And I can't believe we're still in January. It has been
We've got 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. And then it's February.
Hooray. Single Awareness Month. It's going to be great. Well, me and Tim talked about everything we needed to. We had a good long, 15-minute discussion to get all of our wiggles out. And I realized that that's what we do now compared to a year and a half ago with the previous episodes of this episode that we're doing right now. Oh, gosh, dang it. Quiet. Sorry, my devices are deciding to be sassy. Anyway, I hope we don't yammer as much. I know we still do, and we hope that you guys can tolerate that. And last week was definitely an episode to really get those wiggles out.
You guys missed out on about 40 minutes of us just ranting back and forth, talking, trying to get it all out.
We were trying, and we were supposed to start at 7.
Yeah,
it's almost 8 o'clock.
It's 7:50. We tried to start at 7.
Yeah. But you know what? It was needed because you know what? Now it's not going to bother you guys, and we can go straight into it. And today we are going to follow up with my Spiderman series. And like I told you guys in last episode, I believe, I'm going to be doing 6 movies or 6 stories at least. And I will put links down below or connected to this wherever you're listening to of episodes. What is it? Oh crap, I just listened to them. I believe 7 and 8 or 6 and 7. I don't know. But it's The Amazing Spider-Man, and I will just, for quick summary about this, I've changed. I think I kept the first movie the same. I really had no issues with that movie. It's not perfect, but you know what? I think it was building up to something great. But
good enough.
I did change a lot for the second movie. I didn't really touch Dr. Connors in the second movie, but I'll definitely bring him up again soon. But I'm just trying to build into something. I'm trying to get what I would want to see, and I am going to give you guys what I have wanted from Venom. Since I played the Ultimate Spider-Man video games and dove into the Ultimate Spider-Man comics when they first came out in the early 2000s, I just loved some of the things of the Ultimate Universe. Not perfect, not great, but some things I just thought were way cooler, and they definitely match the vibe we got today. So I'm just excited. And yeah,
I'll be honest. Venom's cool. I've never been super into Venom.
No.
Spider-Man is where I don't know. I think I also am a little biased right now because I'm just so burnt out of superhero movies. We had a nice long chat last episode.
I know.
I know. I'm looking at all the stuff that people are saying, what they're anticipating for the next movies, and I'm just so burnt out. I'm so burnt out of Marvel. I'm ready.
I get it.
I'm ready for a break, like a solid 2 or 3 years worth of a break.
And that's why I hope. And you know what? To be fair, Tim, I was pretty burnt out of Star Wars while you did yours. And I'm not trying to I'm just saying that I definitely was.
No, I gotcha.
And yours definitely helped me and so I hope that today I can really get you interested. So I do want to ask though, and again, we're going to pause right here, pause, and I'm going to let you all go listen to the 2 episodes. It's 2.5 hours with crappy audio. I'm not saying that this is much better, but at least it is much better than what we first did. And now you can actually see our faces. So if you have 2.5 hours, go enjoy those. And it's funny because we were recording them on my couch back then because we thought that would be a good idea. And we definitely hold on, calm down. We'll do them again. I just don't know how to set up the cameras for that. So we'll definitely do like a big reaction video one day. We'll watch a movie and talk at the same time, and kind of like one of my favorite podcasts, or not really podcasts, YouTube shows, Cinema Therapy. Cinema Therapy. That's it. Love them. Big shout out to you guys. If you guys ever watch this, we love you guys so much.
You guys are
great. So people who really love stories and really want to find the connection. So love that. But I want to ask though, do you remember my big kind of reveal, like my mid-credit scene of the last one? All right.
I don't.
I will at least tell you.
I'll be honest, I don't remember much outside of, I think, Gwen Stacy stayed alive.
Gwen Stacy stayed alive. So for everyone who's listened, and I hope you do, for everyone who is listening, I decided for Gwen to live. I'm not saying that we will have to see what happens, but I just want to have her more. But she did end up, last time we saw of Gwen, she was taking a flight with Harry and his father to some pristine college. I honestly can't remember where I was having her going at the moment. So if you've listened, awesome. Good for you. I've been trying really hard to catch up, but I'm trying to get the key moments for this movie because this is way more important than that. But Norman Osborn has been healed, but he healed, and last time we saw him, he appeared to be healed, but I am going on the approach of him turning into the giant goblin. We saw the reflection in the mirror of this big giant goblin thing hugging Harry. And there's also Felicia Hardy, who I was implementing that she had hired the Rhino, Alexei, to try to break into Oscorp, and that break-in is what caused Max. Max. It was Max. Max to become Electro, and with the final fight between getting a super serum and Spider-Man's blood and Electro's electricity combined, that is what caused the Goblin effect to happen, and he now has control of it, basically. And we haven't seen that yet, but we'll see what happens this movie. And this is going to be a part 1 for sure. But the last scene was, we see an older gentleman laying down in a bed, and he's dying. You hear the hospital light, you hear the beep beep of a hospital bed. And throughout the last movie, I always mentioned that Richard Parker is with a man named Carl, excuse me. And Carl turned out to be Edward Carl Sr., and this older man in his deathbed is Carl's father, and the young man he is talking to is Eddie Brock Jr. And he had told Eddie that Oscorp was to blame for Peter and Eddie becoming orphans, and that they need to fall. And his father had asked Eddie's grandfather to destroy all his evidence, but he saved one vial. He saved one sample of what was going on. And when he hands it to Eddie and dies in that process, we see something rattling, black, gooey, and trying to cling on to Eddie. And then the screen went to black, and that was it. So that's where my story ended. So this is how the next movie would begin. And it would begin with the phone call that we saw in my last movie with Reed Richards talking on the phone with Carl. But this is going to be from Carl's side. So we're going to start off at Oscorp, and Carl is working on something black, oozing and moving in vials. He smiles, everything's to be come together. He's looking at computers, and he puts his hand on one of the many tubes shelved, just like Reed Richards with all the spiders. And he puts his hand on the tube, and we see that all of them are like, I would imagine that there's like 100 of them, and they all try to they all go to their separate corners trying to get to Carl. Excuse me. And he's been trying to work on a regenerative suit to help burn victims, amputees, and those suffering from cerebral palsy and all those conditions. This is going to be a suit to help heal the body. And Toombs, the gentleman that we've seen throughout the movie, who is Adrian Toombs, the Vulture, He comes in with his fancy little hat and 2 thugs. We are going to learn that Richard and Carl are doing their hardest to undermine Oscorp and bring to light the corruption and the true scheme of the Goblin, who we learn it's them who started this name, who wants to use their research not only to heal himself, but to become a monopoly for the cure, and to, of course, weaponize both the scientists' research, because it's Oscorp. They're gonna do all that they can, because that's just what they would do. There will be a scuffle, and he's gonna get held down, and Toombs is gonna reach out, and I want that as he's reaching out, we see the vial kind of back away from Toombs. It doesn't want Toombs, and he reaches out, and he says that we are always been intrigued, Carl, about seeing what this would do to a living specimen. And he breaks it. Like, I want like almost like a talon, like talon quick, just break it, and it just oozes into Carl's mouth. And Carl will start shaking, wheezing, and like throwing up, and we'll see it like come out of his mouth and like kind of go back up and then inside his body, and he's just wheezing. And he's going to look at him and kind of leave him as he's kind of coughing and heaving. And Carl's phone's going to ring. And the gentleman will see that it's Richard Parker. And he says, you might want to get that. And if I were you, I'd leave. I'd leave the boys. And flash of black is going to go across Brock's eyes. And his teeth are just going to enlarge. And he's going to charge, fling the 2 thugs across the room. We're going to implement that one of them is probably dead. And as he gets to Toombs going to turn around. He goes, touch me. The boys die. And he stops. And we see for a brief moment, Venom. Just a brief moment. It's coming out. Like we see something oozing out. And it goes back in to Carl. And what's going to happen is we're going to see the phone call, and we're going to see the other end. And I was implementing that. He's like asking, like, do you want me to bring Eddie? Do you want me to? And he's like, and we're seeing Richard, no, bring just your wives. We have to leave the boys to keep them safe. We got to get out of here. And we're going to see Eddie make a call to his father and says, something's gone wrong. Like, we're going to see very similar to the scene that we got in the first Amazing Spider-Man, but with Eddie. He's looking at his father and saying, I need you to protect him, watch over him. It's his Osborn. And we just see like, and I'm trying to figure out how old Eddie will be. I imagine a couple years older than Peter. Eddie knows something's really wrong.
I'd think maybe five-ish years older.
Probably 10.
10.
Like, yeah, like I'm not 10 years older than Peter, but like 10 in age. Sorry,
I'm thinking 5 years older than Peter.
Yeah, there. It's not enough that you can be close at that young age, but you know when you're older in your 20s, you know sometimes you know. But
you implying you're old?
Yes, I am. I'm turning 30 this year. It's freaking me out. And what's going to happen is we're going to see them abandon their sons. That's just the hard truth about it. It's going to, and I hated how the flight was like, and I hope that I mentioned that I wanted it at night, but I want them to be on their flight. Richard's typing away and trying to get all his information saved and getting it out. And I want there to be talking. The wives, of course, are in hysterics, are talking to each other, and poor Carl is like, just something's going on. And I want him to just go to the bathroom. Simple as that. He's just in the bathroom, and I want it to be, we're going to see the back of Richard's head as he's typing, and we hear the engine roar, and then we hear something else roaring, and Richard's going to stiffen, look back, and the plane's going to explode. And that's all we're going to get from that. Again, we don't know what's going on. And we'll now go to Eddie, who is at a funeral. And if we're implementing that he's 5 years older, he is 20s, mid-20s man. He is a grown man. And I think I want him to be in the military. I've just been picturing his grandfather was in the military, was a general, was smart, and Eddie being raised by some great general is going to be that way. I don't want to follow the ultimate where he's this punk guy. I want him to be uniform. I want him to be precise. I want him to be this is a different Eddie Brock. I'm going to kind of combine. I don't want, and I'm going to say for all the Agent Venom fans, I don't think I'm going to have him be Agent Venom, but we'll see. I think he might start off as Agent Venom. If you don't know what that is, that's just what Shield weaponized the Venom suit, and Flash Thompson, Peter Parker's bully, lost his legs in war, and Shield used Flash Thompson, gave him legs with the symbiote suit, and he became a new Venom, and he would just become an agent to work for Shield. And he started dating Sif. It's crazy. So,
as in
Lady Sif.
Lady Sif.
Yep.
Okay.
It was
weird.
There was an awesome scene about bullying, about Peter and Flash talking, because Flash is in a wheelchair. So there's a part of me that kind of wants to make him like an amputee, but I'm also like, nope, I'm just going to make him just in the military. Don't know what kind. And we're kind of getting to the part
probably
where
Army.
That's
what I imagine.
It's simple, but it's not
or
that
Marines.
Simple. Yeah, honestly, I want it to really show that this is a good man, but he has a dark side, and that's going to be what this movie is about, is really embracing that darkness. So what I'm imagining right now is the symbiote at this moment is man-made, no alien. If you guys haven't listened to the last episode, there's that right there. This is going to be man-made, just like the Ultimate. If you are really going to implement Eddie Brock, then I don't want it to be an alien. I like the connection of their fathers making it. If you are making it alien, I don't think there should be an Eddie Brock, and it should be Harry Osborn. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. Again, the Venom symbiote has gotten weird over the years. I don't like the whole, there's a god above it. I just make it simple. I kind of like it being man-made, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing. Marvel is always about trying to make man better, but always simply proving is that man can be just terrible. Green Goblin, Hulk, all these things. There's so much duality of man, and I just find that simple. And that's really what this is going to be like.
Well, and I think that the base of everything, the psychological part of it is, it's the duality of man. Mm-hmm. It really is. Like, there are good people and there are bad people. And sometimes good people make bad choices that end up hurting people. And sometimes bad people make neutral decisions that are for the benefit of themselves, and sometimes it benefits others.
And you can be surprised. And that's what's crazy is like, how far is it? And I don't mean to go on a crazy tangent, but I was listening to a video essay about Hunchback of Notre Dame today, and how if Disney wants to do this right, there's probably, if the best version that they should do is probably the musical adaptation, because you really get to, anyway, the point of it was it made Frollo the key villain, and it kind of helped drive the point of evil. Mm-hmm. And I like that more, because in the book, it is, for anyone who's never read Hunchback of Notre Dame, that is a hard read if you love the Disney movie. So,
never read it.
Oh, it is. I need to fully. I've read many an essay about it, but anyway, the point is, I like the duality of man. I just think it's a simple thing when it comes to superheroes, because if you think of most of our heroes that we love, you love Captain America. Winter Soldier is probably one of the best duality of man.
Oh, yes.
Do you love the second one more than the first one? Because I love really the second one.
The first one will always be my favorite. The second one is probably my second favorite Marvel movie, period.
Here's a secret for everybody. If you're under 5'7" as a man, Captain America is probably one of your favorites. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. We're fine. We're great. We're awesome.
The two of us that are
5'6" and 5'5". So I want this to be So Eddie will be there. He will be part of the 21 gun salute. He will be given the I just want it to show like the utmost respect. I don't want it to be like Eddie had a bad upbringing. No, Eddie had his grandfather. His grandfather wasn't perfect, but gosh darn it, he raised that boy. He lived a good life, and he loved Eddie. But he did not want him to fall in front of Oscorp. So they moved to another place. And I want the ooze to start talking. I want it to start enticing him. And I want him to already be connected to it by this point. Mm-hmm. It's hiding, it's just growing, and we'll get
we've seen so many origin stories for all of these characters. I think having something new where you don't need the origin story. I mean, that's one part. That's one thing that I loved about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We didn't need to see the origin story. We've already seen Peter Parker get bit by that radioactive spider 3, 4, 5.
And if you've watched any of the show, like most of the shows, times. They don't even show the spider bite anymore because we should know. It's like Batman. You can have an important, like, I know what happened to Bruce Wayne, but
everybody does.
But you can have episodes to emphasize it.
Mm-hmm. You do flashbacks.
Have you ever played the Arkham games? Mm-hmm. Did you ever go find their outline in Crime Alley?
Yeah.
How long did you sit there because you were like,
a while.
Okay, yeah. The first time I ever found it, I was like, is that Crime Alley? And then I went down and I cried a bit. I was like, oh my, because you felt it, and you can do it as many times. You just go there and you reflect and you're like, geez.
Yeah.
They never forget, but we as their audience, we don't forget either. I will never forget Uncle Ben's passing. I'll never forget Martha and Thomas Wayne dying. But I want there to be, I want this Eddie Brock to be something different. And one thing I want to emphasize is that we already will see things different. So when they do the 7-gun salute, I want him to he doesn't like the loud noises, and he'll have a flash of the engine whirring on the plane. I want to start emphasizing that all of these goos were all connected. They're in a hive mind. They're all dead. There's only one, but this little guy, he was there. Eddie is already seeing like a plane crash, and he's like, what happened? So bang goes off, loud noise, it sets him off. Later on in the day, he'll like be sitting there and he goes to like a bar, and you see one of the bartenders light a candle, and he's like, and he sees the warehouse being burned. He sees his grandfather picking like a first person view of the goo of a hand coming and grabbing the vial. And that's where the weakness of loud sounds comes from. The weakness of fire will come from. Like, these things aren't necessarily weak from it, but because other versions of them died in these horrible, loud, and fiery ways, it is starting to it's memories, and it's going to become PTSD. A weakness. Yeah, but
to go along with the theme of he's an army man,
and it is terrible because Eddie's also. That's perfect, Tim. Thank you for even pointing that out, because I didn't even think about that yet. And that would be so sad. And to all of our military service, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And I hope that this character does it justice. He probably won't. I've never been in the military. But that's just anyway. But I want that to be that this is going to be a good portion of this is Eddie struggling. Like, we're starting to see him like get more frustrated. We're seeing him confused. But I don't know. So I need help in knowing how. I do want a flashback of why he ate it. What happened? Did he try to shove it down a drain? Did it attack him? Did it latch onto him? I don't know how the symbiote got into him. That's where I'm kind of stuck right now. And I don't know what to do. Was he mad? Was he angry? Was it the night that his grandfather died? I don't know.
It could be do something weird, a little different. Instead of eating it, we'd have him, his grandfather is laying there, flatline. He dies, and Eddie, just angry, crushes the vial in his hand and starts bleeding, and the symbiote goes in that way.
Oh, gosh. Yes! Yes! That's amazing, because he'd look down and he'd be like, because he's so angry. Yes, that's perfect. Oh my gosh, that is perfect. Because he'd crush it and then he'd like go to wash it and he'd like try to find it and it's gone. Mm-hmm. And that's when, I don't know when the voices would start coming. I don't think they will, but that's how.
We don't need to show it.
No. And I think it needs to have a few. I will say I do plan on Peter having a part of it as well. I don't know when. That might be in part 2, but that we are going to have a fight between.
Do Sinister. Have it being Sinister.
I don't know yet.
Could be the start.
I have some plans because I do have plans for Carnage, and the Carnage twist. I think some of you might hate me for it because I really think you guys are going to hate me for it, and because it's inspired. If you guys know the Ultimate, there's your hint. If you know the Ultimate, and it's not just in the Ultimate, Peter is Carnage, but there's also someone else who becomes Carnage, and it's painful, and that's where I'm going with it.
It's MJ, isn't it?
You're close.
Or was it Gwen? I mean, it was the love interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. So it's a little bit of a scary Lazarus Pits type thing. So we'll just leave it at that. So it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be, and I want you, and also think second act of Mistborn to prepare you for that.
You mean book 2? Or
no.
Or era 2?
Era 2.
Era 2.
That feeling.
Oh.
Yeah.
Freaking Wayne.
Mm-hmm. No. Not with that. Wayne, but the book before that one. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. So I just want to brace you for that, so you can kind of help me.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of
where you guys are getting spoilers.
You guys are, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. It is gonna be fun. That's probably gonna be 4 or 5. So I'm sad to say, guys, I don't think this Spider-Man's gonna be as happy in the end. Sorry. And I know that's kind of mean because right now Peter never gets a break. But I do want him to have, I think I do want him to have a happy ending, but gosh darn it. It's going to be, he's not a happy character. Mm-hmm. I've never seen him as, no, I think Spider-Man is the most tragic. And Tim, random thing, I'm sorry, I'm coming back to a conversation we had the last time talking about Spider-Man. I don't think Spider-Man would suffer in Gotham as well as you think. I asked the question, Spider-Man in Gotham or Batman in Spider-Man's time, and we both disagreed, but I still hold my ground.
No, that's fair. Going back to that, I'm not sure, I can't remember what I said.
You said Batman in New York would survive longer than Spider-Man in Gotham. Have you learned? Have you grown wiser, Tim?
I think it's the other way around. I think
Tim has grown.
Here's the thing. Right. Batman's villains are insane, but they're used to the superhero not having powers and super strength, and so they, like they're not pulling their punches, but like it's Batman. Like Bruce Wayne is
a human,
one of the most clever people out there. But like Peter has 3 things. He has the Peter Tingle, which is probably the most important of those. He has his webs, and he has super strength.
Then
there's Batman. Like, do you really think Batman would survive against?
I am so glad.
I don't. I'm just trying to think. Like, yeah, Sandman and Clayface, like that. It's very similar. You've got Green Goblin and what's his bucket?
Firefly?
No, Green Goblin versus Scarecrow. They're very similar.
Yeah, somewhat.
But then you get into the big ones, and there's Venom, and
you do have Bane.
Right now. There's Bane,
who, funny enough,
but
is on Venom.
Yes.
So, but we're good. Sorry.
Yeah.
It just made me laugh.
Spider-Man would survive.
Thank you. I'm glad we came back to that. And I know y'all are like, oh my gosh, you two said you weren't going to do that. Don't care. But thank you for helping me with the Eddie thing. And I think
it fits.
And I
don't think Eddie Brock would just eat it. Right. It's not something. It's either that or he's eating lunch next to Grandpa and the symbiote sneaks into his cheeseburger or something.
I think that's perfect. I think to show that right where we left off, and we could even because he hands it to him, and then when we flash back to that scene, we can get immediately caught up. And we see him as Eddie's holding it and watching his grandfather flatline. He shatters it. There's no crazy buildup. It goes right into Eddie from the get-go. He made a mistake. He has anger issues. He's mad because he lost his grandfather. It's not
he lost his father figure.
And the thing is, Eddie's not upset in any way because it's not like it's Oscorp's fault his grandfather died, but it is their fault that his parents are gone. Mm-hmm. His grandfather was going to leave him sometime because that's what grandparents do, sadly. I miss you, Grandpa.
Really sad.
Sorry. I miss you, Grandpa. Anyway, and during this time, Eddie, I want us to follow Eddie for a good 20 minutes. This is not going to be with Peter for a good minute. Mm-hmm. We're going to follow Eddie until he goes to Oscorp on an invitation, funny enough, from the company. And that's kind of where I am at the moment. Is Eddie is suffering through this. We're starting to see things are changing in him. We are starting to find that he is looking up. He discovers that Richard and Carl and their wives died in a horrible engine crash. They died. Oscorp's, the whole facility was burned in a fire, and that's when he's starting to understand, like, okay, this thing lost by fire, this thing is in me. And part of him wants to talk to Oscorp about it, but he's also terrified, no, they're the reason why my parents are dead. And I almost want, how far do we want this to be? If you don't want a voice in his head, can we see something in the mirror, or what can we do to have him?
The voice in his head is fine. I don't want the voice in his head at the start. We don't need to.
I do want the we thing to definitely come out sometime, but that's not going to come out till it's. I do say that the final fight will be between Venom, Peter, who has been released from the thing, and a little bit of. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say. Because I think that'll be a lot of fun. But I want the midpoint that I want us to get to tonight, at least. We got 40 minutes. Is I want us to get to Eddie becoming Venom. That's where I want it to build up to. So during this time, I want.
So what do we want his motivations to be? Do we want Venom to be an inherently evil character? Do we want Eddie to go bad?
Well, this thing, sadly, yes, because and I don't want it to I want it to be like Joker is one bad day, and the bad day that started, and it's really not just one bad day. It's a chain reaction, and then finally, it's the needle that breaks the camel's back. And what is the needle? What is it? Is it him learning what Peter has become? And also, so I want them to be living in a different place. I want them to be not in New York. And I'm trying to think of a state right on top of your head. I don't want it to be Jersey. All the way in California. Jersey? Too close.
Kind of close. Too close?
Too close. I want it to be where's a good, probably in a military base, Kansas, Tennessee. You know what? Tennessee? No, Michigan. No, that doesn't have any military bases. Tennessee. Or Georgia. Ooh.
Georgia.
Ooh. Georgia.
Right.
I love Georgia. I think the South would be good. Maybe his granddaddy was a good Southern man. Love the South somewhat. I'm just kidding. Love you guys. of the South. I'm a descendant down the line, so funny enough. But I want him to be invited. I want it to actually be the reunion of, not the reunion, the anniversary of the 10-year. How long do you think it's been? No,
probably be close to 15. If I'm getting timelines correct.
Let's make it, they're kind of do a celebration that Norman Osborn is cured, and Norman is going to be thanking the two sons of the scientists who lost, because their research is what started the procedure and is what helped cure Norman Osborn of the Goblin. So I think that would be it. Like, we'll see him struggling, we'll see Eddie, and maybe things aren't going well, maybe he lost his job, maybe he's getting more aggressive because something is, this thing is, imagine the worst migraine. That's what I want Eddie going through.
He's discharged from the army because of these weird PTSD breaks, psychotic breaks.
Sorry, that really hurts. I did not serve. I never did anything like that, but I have seen personal family and friends who, sorry.
I think that would work.
I think that would work. Honorable discharge, though.
An honorable
discharge. But it still
discharge.
hurts.
But yeah.
And the thing is, the honorable discharge could have happened a few weeks before his grandfather.
Before Grandpa dies. A little bit later, he loses his job. The next day, he gets evicted.
I want there to see the similarities. And the thing is, now the question is, do we want to show? No, I don't. I want the first time we see Peter is going to be at that meeting. Is going to be at that reunion. And Eddie, even though he's honorably discharged, he's there. Actually, I don't know how this works in the military, because if you're honorably discharged, you are, maybe he's just on leave right now.
Right.
Because I want him to show up in uniform. I want should we make him a sergeant? I will do more research and try to figure out certain things. And if anyone is in the military, listens to these clips or whatever, please, I would love some help with that. But for now, I'll just say, I don't know what to say because I'm too scared to say anything. I'll just say sergeant for now, and if I say it wrong, I'm so sorry. But we'll say that he's pretty colonel, sergeant. He's high ranking enough to be recognized. I'm so sorry. I feel so terrible. My grandfather and great grandfather served, and I'm sitting there like, I should know better, but I don't. I apologize. But I would love to see the door, he steps in, and we see the introduction, and we I don't know how. I just in my head, I just imagine we're seeing Norman Osborn talking and saying that I stand before you all here today alive. 6 months ago, I was supposed to be dead. I was supposed to be dead and buried. But here I am today because of the hard work at Oscorp and the hard work of, and we see Adrian, and he thanks Adrian Toombs. He thanks Dr. Octavius. And, oh gosh, who was my other scientist? Nope, I think that was it. Just those two. Toombs. Octavius. Yeah, I think that's it. Just those two for now. And he thanks them. They both kind of bow their head because I don't know if you remember, Otto took over the armor and Adrian took over the genetic. Or I might have that switched. I apologize. I know you all are like, Willem. I'm like, whatever. But I want him to be thanking and said, but I cannot stand here today without the sacrifice of two great men whose work helped inspire this and get the ball rolling. And they would be here today if not for that horrible accident. And again, though, yeah, they were probably going to get whacked by Oscorp anyway. It kind of fell in that's kind of the hint that either they were going to be blackmailed, whatever, I don't know. But either way, they're playing we're going to thank them. And so we can't have them without the two sons of these great men here today. And we have Sergeant Brock, and we see everyone kind of clap. And, when he claps, he kind of, and we see him kind of shy away from it, but he stands alert. He's trying so hard to stand alert, and he kind of shakes his head at everybody. And Peter Benjamin Parker. And we see Peter come in. I want him to have a beard. He looks good, but he looks like, oh, geez. And behind, I want everyone to slowly notice this. I want Harry to be sitting down behind his father, sitting next to Gwen, and they're holding hands.
Okay.
I want that to be a thing. And all in all, they're going to thank everybody, and we're going to have all three of the young men come forward, and they're going to kind of be talking. Everyone's congratulating them. But
it's party time.
It's party time. And, you know, we just see... And I can't imagine the interaction between these two men, but Peter will look at, you know, Eddie and like walk up to him, and he's going to be so shocked because little tiny Peter is... I kind of want him to be taller than Eddie. And he goes, Petey, you were not... Why? And he's... I want it to... This is the first time we're going to see Eddie smile. And genuinely... And we're going to see the demon get pushed down. And he goes, Petey, you were not allowed to grow up on me. And he's like, I'm not so little now, am I, Brock? And they're just... And I want it to just... It just feels so good. Like, just like this long lost cousin. Like, I want this to be such a good moment. And we just kind of see Harry, like, kind of standing there awkwardly. And Peter's like, hi, Harry. This is Eddie Brock. And this is... You know, because this is who Peter kind of had before his parents died, and then Harry kind of came in. And I really would love for Eddie to go, thank you for taking care of the little man. He really needed it. And I want this to feel that awkward friend triangle. I want it to feel weird when you're trying to introduce like group A to group B, and you're like, I'm two different people, but then this is his child. I want, you know, that feeling. Yep. I want that.
Oh, I know it very well.
But then I want Gwen to walk up and put her arm around Harry, and ooh, the pain. Ooh, the pain. And I want Peter to feel it. And here is now my question is I want there to be two interactions at this point. I want Osborn to shake Peter's hand, to shake both of their hands, and both of them can survive his goblin grip. And he kind of freaks out about it. Like, because he tries to, like, crush the two boys to try to put them in their place. Like, you know, the businessman handshake, but both boys, like, just hold it. And he goes, wow, both of you, good firm handshakes. Most people don't really survive the, you know, the gold goblin grip. And he's, like, terrified from it. You know, and both men are like, Peter doesn't know a lot right now. I don't want him to know anything. I don't think I've had any real hints yet about it. Well, I guess they kind of did in the first movie, and I've implemented that, so that will be something I'll try to fix, and I apologize, everybody. But Eddie will have full-on disdain. Except each of the Osborn gentlemen, one man is going to be looking at each other with disdain. After Gwen pops up, Harry is now enemy to Peter, sort of thing. Like, it's hard. It's really hard watching and I'm sorry to put personal experience in this, everybody. It is hard watching an ex go for someone else. It hurts. But dang, I could not imagine it being a friend like that. Whew. So, second interaction I want is I need Eddie and Peter to be talking, and I don't know if they somehow get into an argument, a verbal argument or something, but I need the symbiote to leave part of the symbiote to do what it's supposed to do and split, and part of it going to Peter. And both of these men, we're going to watch both of them turn into a monster, but one is going to be more positive and one's going to be more negative, if that makes sense. And you can guess which one is which. They're not going to be perfect. Peter's definitely going to get more angry, but it's going to be different.
We're not going to see Bully McGuire.
No. We're not. We are going to see him like, but the thing is,
no more dancing.
No. But the thing is, I've kind of been thinking about that's where the we come in, because the we means there's many of them. Mm-hmm. They're a little legion. They're starting to grow and metamorph. So I really like for the final fight, they're both looking at each other like, are we ready? And that's when they start, and they both suit up, and it's a Venom versus Black Spider-Man fight, because that's something we don't see a lot, and that's what I would want. But that's one thing that I really do want, and I don't know how to get that, where that would come from. So after this whole interaction, this party, I don't know where to take this anymore. I don't know where to go from here. Because again, I want to see the two suit-ups happen, and maybe that will be the first initial clash, and that's where we'll pause for the night. But I just don't know how symbiote is going to crash into Peter, because I want this to be a struggle for both of these men. And the thing is, this is how Peter's going to learn about his parents, is because of the symbiote. That's how everything is going to be clicking in his head while he's researching. So this thing is going to fill the gap for these men, and I don't know if I want it to reveal that Peter's Spider-Man yet, because I kind of like the idea, because originally Venom can always sneak up on Peter. The spider tingle doesn't work on Venom. And I kind of want, but that's after it goes to Peter, then goes to Eddie. But I'd rather have it that they can't really sense each other when they're on two separate hosts until they start growing more and more and the closer they get. So that's kind of my thought process. I hope that makes sense. So, but yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we have Peter get part of the suit without him learning that Eddie is a monster. Why would they start fighting? What would be going on? Would they be at Aunt May's house? Would they start an argument? Like, would he... I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but that's kind of... Well, I don't know. I want to ask, how are you liking it? Is it weird? Is it...
I think it's good.
Okay, I got a good.
I think we could see a little bit more of Peter, maybe break up a little bit of the Eddie.
Oh yeah,
with Peter every now and again.
Of course, like I don't want it to be right after this scene and
show. Right. Well, I mean, just that first bit.
Yeah.
So maybe go from the plane crash to Eddie, and then to Peter, and then back to Eddie, going to the.
That's true, and we could probably fit a few scenes. Maybe he's. Because what I want, here's what I was thinking though, is a part of me kind of wants you know what? And here's why I want to keep going that way, because I want like us to be the symbiote as the audience, if that makes sense. I want them to like handshake, have a big hug, and talk after. But while they're talking, maybe imagine with me, the Osborn men walk away and Eddie and Peter are like, come on, man, let's go catch up. I'll buy you a drink.
Maybe they're trying to get out of the party. And so Peter's like, hey, how about you just hit me and we get thrown out, and then we can go and get a drink or something.
No.
That's when Eddie's like, all right, you want me to hold back? And Peter's like, no, I can take it. And so Eddie's like, all right. Full on punches him, and maybe part of his uniform catches Peter on the cheek and cuts him, and that's where the symbiote goes in.
Okay, I kind of like that, but maybe I do like them getting into a fight. Maybe what can happen is they go and say, if the party winds down. And there's a moment where we see like Harry, like I just imagine this is probably gonna take a good 10 minutes. Aunt May's there, and I imagine she sees Eddie and like just balls, like just is holding him. Like, I'm so sorry about your grandfather. And she's like, I tried to make it. And I want Eddie again. I want the first time he smiles in this movie to be when he sees Peter, but the first time we see him cry is Aunt May. And of course, because Aunt May saw this boy, she saw him working with her brother-in-law, saw his father work. Like I imagine they were all pretty close-knit. And she's like, I thought about you often. And if your grandfather wasn't so vehement, I promise you, me and Ben wanted to take you both. And I want that to be like a revelation. Like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, I just really thought like that would have just been. I just think that May would have done it.
Yeah, I think she would have. With how forceful she can be, I think yes. I think she would have.
Like, and I want that revelation to just like make Brock, feel a little better. And he's like, my grandfather had his reasons, and I'm grateful. I mean, I was raised by one of the I just want him to be like, no, and I want it to be known that I don't want Eddie to have this horrible upbringing. I want it to be hard, because sometimes being raised by men in the military can be hard. And that's just speaking from friends who have had that, and from my what I've known from my family stories. But no disrespect in any way, just that you have certain rules, you have certain things, and it just kind of goes into your life. That's all I mean by that. Just strict and to the book sort of way. That's what I mean by that. Want to make that clear. So maybe Peter and Eddie decide to get out, but I do want one point, both of them at the same time, symbiotic, if you will. They both at the same time go, I can't stand as Osborn. And they look at each other. What do you do to you? And like, which one are you talking about? Like that sort of thing. Like they're like, which Osborn are you talking about? So, or they even just say, I can't stand him. Mm-hmm. So, and it would be cool because one's looking at, I imagine Eddie is looking up at Norman Osborn, and then Peter's looking at Harry. Yeah. So, and then they're like, what do you do to you? You know what? Do you want to get a drink? Yeah, I want to get a drink. And then, yeah.
And then we can do my thing.
Yes. I do imagine no, I do want them to actually, I want it to be pretty pleasant.
Mm-hmm. maybe instead of them punching, maybe they just leave, and on their way to go get drinks, they end up getting mugged.
Oh.
And now, right, they both have a secret they have to hide.
They could get mugged by, maybe they're trying to get kidnapped by, because whose blood do they need to help Norman?
Peter's
and Eddie's.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe they're
trying to get kidnapped
or mugged, and they're like, this is such an easy situation to get out of. But I can't let the other guy know that I have a secret.
Here's the thing. I don't think Eddie knows that so do you now want to implement that he's gotten a lot stronger?
Yeah. I think he's
noticed. Maybe when he got into a fight, because
I think maybe it's been a while.
Maybe he like put someone in the hospital and he's like freaking out. So maybe they both realize like, oh, I gotta.
Yeah. So they're both, they're taking a couple hits each, and then maybe Eddie misses a punch and ends up hitting Peter in the mouth.
No, maybe Eddie gets cut and a piece of his fabric comes off, because the symbiote can blend. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to, I don't think we've seen, I don't want Eddie to be torn, but
maybe it's they finish the fight and they're both bleeding a little bit.
Eddie is going berserk on one of them. Peter lays him out. Peter's calling 911 to try to pick it up, and we see and I want to see, of course, Adrian Toomes sitting there just watching somewhere like, oh man, these boys are not what they seem, because they both kind of slip and they show something. Mm-hmm. But I want Eddie to just, and you see the teeth kind of growing, we see the eyes going black, and he's just getting angry, and he's like, did Osborn send you? And he's paranoid but then that's when your punch can come in.
Yeah, and Peter lays a hand on his shoulder and is like, boom, Eddie. Eddie, the police are, boom.
And it is, right, but the thing is, I want to be a hard hit. Peter's like
down the street.
Peter gets up and he's like, resets it. Ow. Oh, and he's bruised and he's like, Eddie? And Eddie calms down and, Ooh, thank you, Tim. Oh my gosh, I love you so much. But yeah, perfect. They would try to get kidnapped after that. That would just, But I think that would be perfect, that the blood, and we just see something just go into Peter's cuts, and he kind of gets, and just for a split second, we see both of them look at each other. And the thing is about the symbiote is it doesn't really like the others. They typically have a thing where they want to kill their offspring. Mm-hmm. But I will say that I do not want this offspring to be Carnage. I want it to just be a simple purple one. Carnage will come later.
Venom 2.0.
Yeah, I want both to have the maybe this one is more purple and reddish, like in the cartoon sort of thing. Like it's more purple. So Eddie's will be just dark black. Peter's will be purple. Mm-hmm. And when that combines later on, it's going to be a whole different thing. So Peter will have more of a purple suit. Eddie will have black. Sound fair to everybody? Sound fair?
I think it works.
But I do want a split second. They both like square up. Again, 15, like less than 10 minutes. They were arm around each other, but now they're both like, I imagine they both square up. And no words. I don't want any words. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be weird for us to watch because they're going to square up. Both eyes are kind of going black, and they both get up and they square up and start coming toward each other, and they're both growling. And then lights come on, cops come around, and like, "Are you two okay?" And like, "Gentlemen, stand down." And they're like, Peter, and they both like, and they I imagine like me and you, if we were coming, and then immediately their hands soften and they grab each other. "Are you okay?" And you're like, and everyone in the audience would be like, it would feel so weird, like the tension, like lights come on, the sirens, but then like
Peter's going in for a punch and then just puts a hand on his shoulder.
And Eddie was coming in like he was doing something, because I'm sorry, I think Eddie probably knows to fight a little bit better.
Probably.
So
more militaristic fight.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Spidey fighting. And Peter's probably had to take some classes and do some stuff, but I just want it to be, and again, I want the bearded. If you guys want to look up what I'm imagining, look up Andrew Garfield with a beard. That's what I'm imagining. That's what I've been picturing in my head the whole time.
Now the question is though, honestly, and this is sad, but I've been imagining this as Tom Hardy. A younger Tom Hardy. If anyone has seen Warrior, that's who I've kind of been picturing. But if you have as Eddie Brock, but if you have, and it's just because of, but if you have someone better in mind, I'm just imagining almost like, honestly, someone looking like Eminem back in the day. I don't know. But if you guys can think of someone better, let me know. But yeah, that's what I would want. But now that we've seen the aggression, we've seen something different, I want them to have, that is perfect, because now they're not really going to end on maybe they'll end on a sour note, but they're like, "Dude, are you?" And they're like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me." Like, "I don't know what came over me." And they're like, "All right, so what?" And maybe they will end on a sour note because Eddie's going to try to say like, "Hey, something's wrong with Oscorp." And Peter's like, I know. Like, "You knew?" And he's like, I think something's wrong, but I don't know." And then like Eddie's kind of getting frustrated, like, "Why have you said anything?" It's like, I don't. It's like, you take pictures of Spider-Man, you, and it's like and I don't know. No, I don't want them to. I hate that trope of like, "You take pictures of Spider-Man, you should blah blah blah." And it's like, you guys have this hero up here, and no one's done anything. What has Spider-Man done to stop Oscorp? And he's like, "Well, he stopped the lizard. He stopped whatever was happening at their facilities, And it's like, yeah, but they probably caused that." And you see Peter, because he's pretty sure that they caused it. But I think from this point on, I think that this split off, they kind of end somewhat on a sour note. He's like, "Eddie, before you go home, though, you're welcome to stay at my place." "Nope." He's like, "I'm not going to bother May. I need to go do my own things." And so now in our last about 10 minutes, I would really want to, I don't know, what would you like to see before we get a mini interaction? I don't know if you want the first time, like the pause to be where Eddie first transforms, or so, because you got to remember, we do have Adrian Toomes we haven't seen him as Vulture yet. We do have Max and Rhino in the penitentiary. Mm-hmm. We do have Black Cat, who I do want to be in this movie. She's definitely, because I want her to interact with Spider-Man probably after this scene. Like, he hears that there's a burglar going on, like a robbery, and I want her to be intertwined in this, and that's going to probably be for next time, because
maybe she is the one robbing.
Oh yeah, no,
the place, and then Peter goes, and she's like, "I'm only robbing the place so I can actually talk to you."
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And I'm trying to figure out what more to do with that, because I definitely want to have the awesome idea of Black Cat with Peter in the symbiote suit in the dark suit, because she'd be like, "Oh, you matching my? Are you copying my outfit?
Are you wanting this to end up like a Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle kind of thing?"
Well, to be fair, Peter and Felicia Hardy have had many relationships in the past. So
right, I want to make sure that's where you're.
That's not where they're going to end, but they're definitely going to have a fling, for sure. Do with that what you all will, you nasties, and don't laugh at me, and
tell me not to laugh at me.
Don't laugh at me. But I think that will probably be for next time. I think for this last part, though, I want to really watch Eddie transform. And then I think next time we're going to show Peter kind of transforming. And that'll be it. So what do you think would be like the camel? Because I feel like that was pretty close to him breaking. But I need to try to figure out what would be the last straw for Venom to break out for this awful, monstrous thing. Would it be that he, because of their connection, learns that Peter is Spider-Man, or I don't know.
I think that's gonna come a little later.
But I kind of do want it to be that. So I don't know if we should have Peter save Eddie. I don't know what. Because I don't want him to resent Peter, but in a way he kind of does, because currently Peter has at least one person. Eddie has no one. Peter's upset because Gwen survived all that. She said she was going to come back.
And then she went to Harry.
Mm-hmm. And then Norman, I don't know if I want him to learn that Peter is Spider-Man yet, but he definitely was getting a hint, because I remember that
something's going on.
Yeah, because he, in my last kind of story, was he was talking about, Harry talked about how he's connecting with Peter Parker again. He goes, "Oh, Richard always working on his experiments, and last thing he was working on was his spite," and he sees a news bulletin with Spider-Man on it, and he goes, "Oh," and he's like, "I think there's something there with that." So yeah, where are we at right now? That's the more important question. Oh, well, I was about to say, I'm like, oh yeah, we totally we started this, but we started talking, recording at that's not an accurate timetable.
About 8:40.
About 8:40.
It's been about an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. So I think
this could be a good spot to pause, and then we can get right into it next time.
Yeah, I think so, because I think that this is honestly, I like it. I like where it's at, and it's ironic because this is an hour, just like the last time I had a part one. So next one's gonna be an hour and a half. Hopefully not. I really hope not.
I mean, it might be.
It might be. But so far, Tim, I'm liking this origin of Venom a lot more. Yeah, I think it's a lot more simple. More simple. Thank you. I don't know, anything that you would anything that you'd hope to see, or anything that you're coming into your mind, I just something that's popping in your mind, this is something that would be really nice.
No.
Or what's a big critique about Venom that you're here's what I don't want to see? Again, Tim's kind of worn out.
Yeah, I'm I'm burnt out from the MCU, and love Spider-Man. It's great. I'm just, like I said, I'm burnt out.
No, but what you've added, those two important scenes, thank you. So definitely want more of that next time. Oh yeah, it is what we do. And I'm so proud, because Tim used to never add anything. When we haven't done episodes like this in a while, so
yeah, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. But yeah, I think I'm going to pause it there. I think the interaction with Peter, and I think that was perfect. I think that would be I think that would easily be about 30 to 40 minutes into the movie, and for the next hour and a half, we would just see these two slowly get ready and then have a big collision in the end. So I think it's going to turn out pretty good. I think this is a great place. I think it's kind of what we wanted with Andrew, especially after listening to his character interact with Tom Holland. Said, I went to a dark place after I lost Gwen. And technically this Peter has lost Gwen, but hasn't. So not yet. Just kidding. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks for that, everyone. I hopefully you all catch up with the episodes before. Again, I'll tag them in, try to add them, but I'm pretty with that. So thanks, everybody, and I'll leave it to Tim to send us off.
Cool. I'm enjoying this. I like it. It's a good story.
Tim hasn't had to use his big brain. He feels pretty relaxed.
Nope. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, this has been fun. We'll catch you guys next time. And as always, love each other, be kind. Try to pull someone else out of the dark between now and the next time.
Oh.
Till next time, we'll see you later, pitches.